Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Phillips, the editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar Arabia, and I am thrilled to welcome the formidable Sandra Choi, creative director of Jimmy Choo, who took some time out to speak to us in honour of World of Fashion 2020 at Mall of The Emirates. I've wanted to meet you for a very long time, so I'm really thrilled that you can join us at World of Fashion at Mall of The Emirates. Wish you could have been here with us in Dubai, but maybe next year.
Well, I was there Emma reminded me, this time last year we were there in Dubai, and it was wonderful. It was my first time, and I've always been very intrigued by the city. You know, Dubai, that perfection. I just sense that everything is perfect in Dubai, and it was such a meeting point of East and West. It was a great melting pot. The uniqueness and the luxury that you really have in Dubai is exceptional. But then on the other hand, I love the market. I love the hustle bustle. I love that kind of like noise, the smell, everything about it around the port. Near the canal. So I made time to actually go and see that for myself, and I just love the contrast. For me, Dubai is like a little gateway. I mean, I don't know the Middle East well at all, but to me it's like a gateway that they're eager to actually accept the world, but at the same time there is this undercurrent of heritage and culture that they also want to weave into what they do and how they do go about it. I think everybody should visit once.
I think that is 100% accurate. I think that's a fantastic way of describing it. So considering you've been once, you've nailed it. I wanted to know what your impressions were of the region, but also what you think is different about the Jimmy Choo woman here in comparison to maybe in London or New York.
Women are very similar, but because of where their culture come into it and geographically located, it kind of like mold and shape their lifestyle slightly different. But I think the Jimmy Choo woman is very much a singular thing. You know, our women, I think there's this drive in them. They have ambitions and they have a purpose, and I feel like that is very much a Jimmy Choo woman, and they want to either to achieve or to do something good and to be on the pedestal for the right reason. And that's how I kind of imagine the Jimmy Choo woman to be, first and foremost. In terms of fashion, you know, I grew up in Hong Kong, so I've got this very kind of automatic connection to Far East, and I love the energy and I love the vibrancy of they just enjoy fashion. But the idea of just enjoying the high and low fashion is very kind of like obvious.
I wanted to ask you if you feel that women, but particularly the Jimmy Choo woman, will be looking for something different from brands post-pandemic.
Oh, well, even before the pandemic, we were noticing a switch. I mean, as I am evolving in my profession, I'm also maturing myself. And to be honest with you, you know, over the last 2 decades of working here, I've never imagined that one of our highest sell-through of footwear could be a trainer.
Yeah.
And that is coming across very weird. I mean, I've never ever would have thought of that 20 something years ago when Sex and the City was kind of like the hype, and you just watch that and Friends. I think where we are is really obvious. When you make something beautiful, you get a lot of attention, and our clients really love and treasure anything that we put out there that is to be bought and worth it of attention. And I think so that's the craft and the very high kind of fashion that you want to portray. And then on the other hand, you know, we recently did collaboration with Timberland, and let alone the timing, I mean the actual classical easy workwear functionality of that style is just perfect, and that receives so much attention as well. So, you know, this high and low thing really kind of like is evident that our clients, the women, is really kind of like trying to find in their life, you know, whether it's footwear, bags, anything. I think functionality has a place to play, but as long as they're beautifully done and there's a reason for it, I think people are not holding back in terms of wanting to own a piece of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, and so much of that is down to you. I think that the brand Jimmy Choo has gone through such an evolution. And I know that you have been there for quite some time, since almost the beginning.
At the beginning. Totally at the beginning. Day one, I can still remember it very well.
And I know that at the very beginning, you guys were making couture shoes for Princess Diana in the East End, which it still blows my mind. So fantastic. And now you guys are a global empire. But the core values have still remained the same in my eyes, that kind of confidence and that glamour. But the aesthetics evolved as you've just explained.
Be it a pair of rugger boots or a pair of trainers or a flat sandal or a pair of beautiful heels. To me, as long as they are done as unique as it can be, and it makes you feel good, whether by look or by the actual comfort side, that is a job done for me.
And is that very personal? Because I know you're quite a famous flats lover, shall we say? Like, you actually love a flat, is that right?
I actually love a boot. I can wear any boot. I think I'm versatile just because I'm very action station. I mean, my fantasy girl in my life would be Lara Croft.
To dress or to be?
Both.
Very cool.
I love that she can actually go places, do the stuff that she does, and still looking fabulous. And and she's skilled, but she's healthy and she looks fantastic. And that's, to me, that is a very much of a modern woman ethos. And for me, again, I go to drop my children off in the morning. Usually I'm in a pair of boots or trainer because I have to get there on time, and then I come into the office in a meeting, depending on what kind of meeting I'm having. Even Zoom meetings, I sometimes get changed just to kind of put yourself in a different mindset. And there are I go out around the corner to my neighbors for dinner, and I'll put a pair of shoes on that I can walk home in, but they're high and they have height, so it's all depending on, it's a very much a mood changing scenario with shoes.
Of course,
do it differently. Yes, so actually, but I'm quite varied.
Speaking of Lara Croft, I can actually imagine her in your Timberland collaboration that you've just put out. I feel like she would be the perfect girl to wear one of those Timberland Jimmy Choo boots.
I mean, she might be in action, but she's still looking great.
Exactly, with the Swarovskis sparkling. I did want to speak about your collaborations, because I think they've been quite surprising in some ways, but also really savvy. Obviously, the huge hit that was Virgil and Off-White, and was it 2018?
That was quite a surprise all round. It took me a few months to understand, because I think that was at the time when street fashion, a lot of the urban influence was coming into, literally taking over slowly the major fashion scene. I don't know where you were at, but when I certainly started my career, high fashion, the higher the heel, the better it is. The more fancy and the more kind of sculpted dressing, the closer to mainstream fashion that you are. But the whole thing has kind of switched. With Virgil, I was introduced to him because he was going to DJ for our 20 years? Maybe it's 20 years anniversary in New York. And I, frankly, yes, DJ, he was connected to Kanye West. And there's Off-White. I'm like, what? I'm trying to kind of digest everything. But when we did have that drink at the Bowery, and we were chatting about stuff, and we talked about fashion. And when I arrived for that drink, he actually said, "Oh, you're wearing a comp t-shirt." I was like, "What? How do you know this is a comp t-shirt?" Isn't it a white t-shirt? And we got talking about fashion, and there is a certain synergy that was going. And he is such a connoisseur on everything that he does. And that kind of like, ding, it just happened in my head. Wow, this is interesting. And he's obviously younger than me. And we started to talk about fashion, influence, music, and what he get up to, and he doesn't ever sleep. And that got us together and talking. And I think a year later, we managed to get the two brands together, and I was educated about this kind of new wave of street urban trend that's coming into taking over everything that is to do with what I know as high fashion. And I think one should never stop learning about stuff, and that's what fashion should be. And that's why these collaborations are interesting to me, and we'll always make time for it, because I want to infuse this house with something else that is outside of the four walls.
Do you think if it wasn't for the Virgil and Off-White collaboration, that somehow the Timberland collaboration might not have ever happened? Do you feel like it set you down a path of, okay, this is where I'm going now?
Well, collaboration, I mean, there's lots of talk of what we want to do and why we want to do certain things. Yes and no, because we've done moon boots before, and you know, in 2000, and if I can remember the date correctly, 2010, we did an UGG collaboration.
Yeah,
you know, there's all different things. I think what is great about Jimmy Choo is I like to think that we're not afraid to do anything. I like surprises, and surprises is when you kind of like make people's kind of double take, or what did they do?
That's fantastic, because there's so much noise, for want of a better word, out there.
Yes.
And I think that to be able to surprise your fans is actually something to really be championed.
Yeah, well, thank you. I totally agree with you, and this is just, and also look, I've done this for 2 decades. Sometimes I just need to stir it up a little. Otherwise I get bored.
Well, I mean, obviously collaborations have become such a fixture now in the industry, and you've driven a lot of very successful ones. But I do want to know who your dream collaboration is now. Like, who's the one in your sights that you're like, yes, that's what Jimmy Choo is going to do now?
That is a huge piece of work. I think because of where we've been in terms of the world, and it's been turned upside down, I can't tell you specifically what my dream collaboration is, because as I said, I believe in collaboration if there's a good reason. And sometimes it's commerce, sometimes it's brand, sometimes it's, you know, making people think and getting attention. But my ultimate dream for the brand, where we take it, is how do we go from here to make decisions so that we can actually give back. That will be the main collaboration, and that's a long way to go, because, you know, as much as whether there's global warming or there is kind of environmental scenario going on, everything is connected, I think. And, you know, every day that we move into the future, if we can going on making those decisions, so to actually benefit what's to come, that will be my ultimate collaboration. I mean, it's a bit vague, but I just don't think it's there yet. And I can't say that, you know, we're making a start, but whether it is in my lifetime, I don't know.
I think it sounds like a far more honourable answer than most people would have given. I want to go back to the beginning briefly. I know that you first started as an apprentice for your uncle, the Jimmy Choo. I wanted to know, what was the greatest piece of advice that he gave you?
When I was picking up the craft in the workshop, I think what I've watched and learned was try to be as resourceful and probably overcome stuff. And I've actually acted on it over the years. When you want to make something, I always kind of like work around it, because there are the normal way of doing stuff. And when I was in the studio, he used to just because making shoes in the UK is not straightforward. It's not like Italy where you can pop into a factory. There aren't any factories in the UK. And I remember because he's a cobbler, and he makes shoes, and he's got a set of large and different sizes all around. But as you go, some people would want to have their shoes pointed, and other people would want their shoes square-toed, and there will be boots that is with platform. I remember how adaptable he was, using car fixing filler to the car body, those kind of model clay thing, to make the last, so that whatever the standard size that he has in his workshop, he'll make the shape of that desirable toe shape or the actual fit of the shoe, because we were doing couture at the time, to adapt. And I just think that is so clever, because crafty,
very clever.
So in a way, don't forget that you've got these, you got hands, you got this, and you just need to kind of like overcome it. And when I started out at the very beginning, going to Italy, not being able to speak Italian, I remember going into the to the factory, and half of the pattern cutter would look at me and go, "What is this Chinese girl want?" We were trying to figure it out, but because I've learned how to make certain things and how the pattern would go, and in a way cheat and shortcut and just use my own theory, I would use to share my thinking with the pattern cutters. And over the years, we really have built those really key relationships. And there's this mutual respect of making things happen. And ever since, I guess that's what I have carried with me ever since.
I love that. I think that's a great philosophy on life in general, actually.
Yes, and I think making things beautiful will be my other kind of ethos that I always go by. Because if you can make something beautiful, whether it's fashion, trendy or not, you will always love it. And you always give it the place somewhere.
It's a great way of looking at it. So I know back then, and when the business was really growing exponentially, and you guys, you've just explained, you went from literally hand making couture shoes with the matching fabrics for the gowns for the royal family, and then mushrooming into this household name in the 90s. What do you really credit that to?
Along the way, there was also Tamara Mellon. I wouldn't kind of write that out. Tamara came along and just said that, look, I want to help you guys to kind of there's potential in this name, and there is definitely things that we can do. And she's very driven. And then her father came along too. And I think the year that our family really kind of saw something, and we kind of stripped it all down to basis. Want to make a collection of shoes, get it made in Italy, try to go and negotiate places where we can open stores and sell. And I think all of that is down to hard work and with a certain vision. And like I said, I like to treat everything as there's never a no. There should be a yes, but then you find your rhythm and you find your method in getting a yes in the end of the day. So that's, I think, how it kind of come about. And then Tamara had her role and I had my role. There's product and there is collections being established, and then at the same time there's also marketing. There's the 90s, we can talk about society, London. There's a lot of whirlwind that revolve around PRing the product and putting them in the right place. Slowly, with Tamara's lifestyle too, because of her relationship. It took us from New York to LA to places, and her father was incremental, because I remember Tom came to us and said that we're going to open 5 stores, and I went, okay. And at the time we had one store at Morecambe Street, and I was like, okay, let's just kind of get the collections out. And that was my job, getting the collections out and making sure that there is a collection to sell, and there are differentiation between the coming and going and the make of the product. And then from London we went to New York. That was our other store. And then LA happened, and that happened in November 98 to January 99. So it's just one thing, 99 and 2000 maybe, that one thing after another. And then when we opened our store in LA in January 2000, that was when we were kind of like, hold on a minute, in a few more months, red carpet, Academy Award, and all that just kind of click. And you, as I said, yes, I live in this office, and yes, we spend a lot of time kind of functioning, making things work. We looked and went, Academy Award. People need shoes, and in LA we were probably the first brand who worked with stylists properly and on shoes, and it was one, great fun, and two, it was quite an intensive challenge just because everybody needs everything and we were trying to make it happen, and we were present. And I think all of that, it wasn't luck, it was just the intuition of what's around. And not like today, digital is very important, and how do you actually treat that? And as a new player in the fashion industry and wanting to build a brand, I think there are so many ways that you can actually broadcast, and as long as you've got a solid product and have some kind of vision and the drive to kind of carry on, I think that could be a key benefit on someone who wants to build something. And I put it down to the intuition that we had. We kind of read one thing after another, and we were like, does it matter if no one has done it before? We can be the first.
And you are. I mean, it was a fascinating time, I guess, like late 90s, early 2000 or early noughties, because it was the time when, that kind of media, celebrity, fashion intersection really came to the fore. And you guys
grew, magazines grew. I mean, do we need all of them? Not really, but they just exploded. So we kind of like just rolled with it. And as you said, my original I think my really original experience on all of that was probably Princess Diana, because she wore our things, and because the whole world was interested wherever you are, and the exposure just kind of happened.
I mean, you can't get bigger. What's your kind of overriding memory of dressing Princess Diana?
She hated traffic wardens.
Okay, was not expecting that. Fair enough. I don't think anyone likes them, do they?
I don't know. I mean, it was just that she would always park her car on the yellow line outside the shop, and someone would stand by the door, kind of like trying to look out for traffic warden while she popped into the shop and do her thing, and it was quite hilarious. And even herself was like in and out, making sure that the traffic wardens would not give her a ticket. It was quite funny, and I think she knew what she wanted. And I think over the years working with her heel height changes. She started off like 2.5 inches, and it grew to like 3.5.
As her confidence grew?
I think her confidence grew and her lifestyle changed as well because of the divorce and yeah, exactly.
How fascinating. I really love that. I love that the heel is representative of different stages of a woman's life and her psychology and all of that. That's fantastic. Speaking of heels, obviously I know that Jimmy Choo as a brand is really now known for so much more than just the perfect red carpet heel, which it was once, but now that a core part of the business is very much about bags. So I wanted to know what your favorite bag was from the collection this season.
I think I'm
Oh wow, you have it behind you. It's as if you had planned this.
I wasn't sure when you were gonna ask me that. I had her just because I've seen, I've loved her for a few seasons. She was born in velvet, and I have the velvet at home. I mean, not that I'm going out that much, but when I pop round to my neighbours for dinner, I can actually carry a bag with me just to kind of accessorize my outfit. She was born in velvet, and it was like this I would call it acidy green color velvet, which I love. Mm-hmm. But what I love about it is the metal. This kind of really is glamorous, it's bold, and it's something very dynamic on the way that we trim this bag. I like her, and she's just the right size. You can actually throw things in there, and it's not too gigantic, so you can actually find things in there too. So this is a version that we haven't launched yet. This is in black leather. It's my personal.
So what's her name?
Bonbon. Bonbon. She's a bonbon.
Oh my goodness, the cutest name ever for the cutest bag. So when is this one being launched?
I think she may be in retail for next pre-fall, so April, May 2021.
Okay,
but this is another version, which is mine. It's mine. It's mine.
All right. Well, and from the new collection, have you got any that you personally own and wearing?
I think the mini is the mini. It's a mini Varone double handle in yet. I think that the little one. I mean, I'm into little bag just because I walk around with a big bag. If I tell you what my bag is that I come into work with.
Oh my goodness, can we please turn this into a what's in your bag? Because I love those. Oh my gosh.
I walked in, so it is a Jimmy Choo.
Good to know.
In with this bag, but I like to have small bags. So I like bags within the bag. Maybe the mini Varone with a double handle, that will be the one that I like, just because she's cute and she's everything that you need in a bag, because you can just chuck a small wallet. I just love that she's absolutely perfect. All right. So it's slightly lady, but super cute.
All right. Well, we'll tell everybody to go and make a beeline for that bag then. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Sandra. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it's lovely talking to you too. It doesn't feel like
I really hope that next year we'll see you in Dubai.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, and speak soon.
Yes, hopefully we'll meet one day in person.
Yeah, I hope so. All right.
Thanks.
Have a great day. Bye.